What is going on, guys? Matt here once again with our weekly Thursday night Kessel Run series. This week it's going to be our special edition where we pit a new player up against one of our veterans. But we decided to bring you some bonus content this week. We're actually going to have a match between two newer players. We've got Michael here on the left playing Poe Biggs with Armored Reinforcement against Kenny and his Gungan deck. We thought it might be fun to just let these two get on stream and play a little game of Destiny. So that's what we're going to do. Kenny, of course, running the Arena of Death. Michael running the new battlefield from across the galaxy, where if he plays the vehicle, he can take control of the battlefield. And re-roll. Wait for these guys to get set up. I see a diplomatic protection there in Kenny's hand. So for this game, we're not going to really do a lot of heavy commentating. We're going to more talk about certain plays, what could be done better, what were some smart plays they made. And then we will go from there. So we get the roll-off. Kenny wins the roll-off. So we'll be going to the Arena of Death. Deal one indirect for every defeated character that you have to an opponent, up to 3. Michael will put the 2 shields on Biggs, and we will get started. Kenny is going to roll out a Gungan first and hits a 1 melee. Michael's going to go ahead and use Armored Reinforcement to dig for a vehicle. Oh, watch out. There is an X-Wing. He'll pay 1 for the X-Wing, so he'll still have a resource for mitigation or upgrades or something. Kenny goes ahead and rolls out, Michael asking Kenny to cut his deck, which is a proper thing to do after you tutor for a card. Kenny rolls the second Gungan, hits a 2 indirect. Real quick, the ability on the X-Wing is the X that is on the die corresponds to the number of X-Wing cards that are in play. Not how many dice are in the pool, but how many are in play. And you can play up to 4. So Michael decides to do a little shuffle here. He's also got to shuffle his dice also because he's decided to roll Poe in big spot. He's just going to keep Poe and activate that. That's totally fine. Poe rolls out Hot Fire, the 2 range and a 2 range. Kenny with a massive rough hit of Into the Garbage Chute. He's going to exhaust Boss to remove those 2 damage. Yikes. Looks like Michael has a second X-Wing in hand, so if he can get a resource and get 2 of those out on the field early, that's not a bad start. Not a bad start. Once again, Biggs, once he activates Biggs, he can activate a vehicle, and he can re-roll the vehicle and the mod die if it's attached to that vehicle. So Michael wants to play Blaze of Glory here. There is no way for him to play Blaze of Glory. I mean, he could take all 3 of that damage, but it's not going to be the best play here. I think they're trying to talk over how the card works. So ideally, the Blaze of Glory is great for a Gungan deck, because if an opponent has multiple damage shown, it can either kill multiple characters or kill one of your primary characters, you can use Blaze of Glory and overkill one of your characters. So they're going to go ahead and keep up with it. So Michael will take 3 damage. He'll roll out Biggs, which allows him to roll out the X-Wing, and he can re-roll the X-Wing with Biggs' ability. All right, so there's a 1 range on the X-Wing, a +2 on Biggs, and a resource. Jar Jar will roll out. He gets an indirect and a discard. So Michael should be re-rolling everything here. Looks like we have missed the reroll trigger there. Once again, like I said, it's okay. These two are still fairly new to the game, so they're trying to learn and play through it. So Michael will go ahead and put 3 into the first Gungan. Kenny will use Dangerous Maneuver, allows him to heal 2 damage and then deal 2 indirect damage to himself. So basically you just move 2 damage to other characters however you choose. Michael's still showing a resource on Biggs. So he can get the second X-Wing out. That's not bad. Kenny's going to resolve the discard. Gets the black 1 out of Michael's hand. Black 1 with Poe is going to be a nice combo if he runs 2 of those. If he doesn't, then that card is dead to him. I think you go ahead and pay. Yep, go ahead and get the second X-Wing out. So now both X-Wings, X is equal to 2. It's an indirect there from Jar Jar. Michael just puts that on Poe. X-Wing rolls out, hits X indirect. That'll be 2 indirect. Kenny will just claim. We'll get 2 indirect here and probably get ready for the next round. And while we're waiting for that, those of you who watch our videos, thank you so much for checking out the channel. Make sure once again just to like and subscribe. If you like a lot of the intro video work that we have on our channel, that is all due to Michael and his awesome computer abilities. So make sure to drop that in the channel, in the comment section. If you look in the description below, I actually have a link to some of his work. Make sure to check that out as well. We have all of our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that fun social media stuff down below if you want to check out any of that. We do have a Discord channel. You can join for free. We're active in the chat. We get round 2 started. Kenny's going to roll out a Gungan. Hits a 1 shield. Michael's going to use Deploy Squadron, which allows him to activate all of his supports at once. So he hits the X range, which will be 2, and then hits X range pay 1. So theoretically, that's 4. Well, it was 4 until Jar Jar rolled out. Now, so Jar Jar rolled a resource and a disrupt, forcing Michael to re-roll. He still hits an 2 range and a 1 shield now. Okay, so he'll roll out Biggs. Biggs gets a 1 indirect and a 1 resource. Kenny racking up on the resources over there. Expect, yep, I see it. There's a Gungan catapult. Michael rolls out, hits a special on Poe and a blank. Special on Poe is you can give Poe a shield or give a character a shield and turn a die to any side. So he'll give Poe the shield, turn a die, give Poe another shield, and he's going to turn another die now. Alright, so he's back up to 4 damage between the 2 X-Wings. That could kill the top Gungan. Kenny rolls out the Gungan catapult. Smart move, go ahead and roll it out now. Does hit a blank, but he has 2 Gungans still to activate, which will allow him to re-roll that die twice if he wants to. Okay, Michael trying to play aerial advantage. He does not control the battlefield. So in the rules, that would be considered an illegal action. He'd be allowed to take that back and play something else. If it's a spotter red character, then it would still be an action. He would just pay the resource and not be able to complete it. But because it's legal action, he's able to take it back, do the 4 damage to kill the Gungan, and we move on. Kenny activates his Gungan, gets a 1 shield, which allows the catapult to re-roll into a 3 disrupt. Michael discarding outgun to re-roll, gets a blank and a 2 range on Biggs. Boss rolls a disrupt. Going to re-roll the catapult, re-rolls a blank. That catapult is not really cooperating with Kenny right now. Not in the least bit. Okay, there's 2 into boss. Kenny will discard his other garbage chute to reroll. It's a blank, a 1 melee on the Gungan, a 1 shield, and a 1 resource. Michael goes ahead and claims, trying to stay ahead of the 1 indirect. So Kenny will take the 1 resource on boss to pay 1 for locked and loaded. He turns the Gungan catapult to a 4 indirect, Gungan to a 2 indirect, takes a shield on boss. So that's 6 indirect total into Pobigs. And with the 2 shields off of Poe, that allows Michael to have 3 on Biggs and 3 on Poe. Poe's at 8 health remaining, Biggs at 6. Now that Michael controls the battlefield, things like aerial advantage come back into play. He can use that. He doesn't have a mod yet, so he can do 2 of the 3 options, and if he gets a mod down, then he'll be able to do all 3. So he rolls out Biggs. A blank and a resource allows him to roll out the X-Wing. Hits a blank, but with the reroll option, he rerolls it, gets the 2 range, pay 1. Here's an indirect from the Gungan for rolling a blank. Those indirects really pile up really quickly. You're almost begging the Gungans to roll terrible the first turn. Once again, both of these guys have been with us now for about 3 or 4 months. Great guys in the community, very active in our Discord. So Michael rolls out Poe. Poe rolls a 1 resource and a 1 range. The catapult rolls the worst thing a catapult can roll, a blank. There's aerial advantage. So he can spot a red character to turn a die to any side, which he does. He can spot a vehicle to remove a die. If he had a mod, then he could also spot a mod to remove another die. Aerial advantage, one of the best cards that are going to come with rotation. So Jar Jar rolls out a 1 indirect, which will make everything else pretty much re-roll. The Gungan rolls a blank. Michael's side rolls a 1 indirect, 2 range on the X-Wing, a resource, a blank, and a resource. Oh! Michael's trying to throw that X-Wing to the indoor moon. Alright, so the X-Wing has a 2 range on it as well, so that's 4 damage. It's not enough to kill any of the characters currently. Boss rolls a disrupt. Michael thinking about his options here. Kenny has 1 resource, so he does have the option to pay for some mitigation if he has it in hand. I think if you're Michael, you want to go ahead and just discard and re-roll here. Trying to apply a little bit of pressure. Okay, so he decides to go ahead and take 2 resources. If he has another X-Wing in hand, that's a good play. Can you thought about discarding to re-roll? Okay, so he's going to play Gungan offensive. So there's a lot of indirect showing on the board. Okay, and there's a mod. That's a laser cannon. Once he activates that particular X-Wing, that'll deal 1 indirect to Kenny. I think if you had that in your hand the whole time, you want to go ahead and just straight up resolve that. So Michael will play Outgun. He'll spend a resource to get rid of Boss's die. Kenny just played on the mark, so any indirect this round can be targeted as direct damage against a certain player. I know Kenny is very much looking forward to the new downgrade, Target Intel, where any indirect damage is applied directly to one certain character. Hopefully this upcoming week we'll get a lot of new spoilers for Convergence. We'll get some more information about the possible release date. And then next week, of course, is the last week of regional season. A couple of our Outer Rim guys are going to be going down to Covington, Louisiana on February 16th, playing in that regional at the Big Easy Comic Store. The Outer Rim will be streaming that event, so make sure to check out our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Outer Rim Smugglers. There's some underscores in between. Kenny just resolves all the indirect. Michael takes most of it on Poe. So Poe's at 3 health remaining. Big still at 6 health remaining. Now down to 5. Michael shoot at 1 indirect. Kenny puts that on the Gungan Warrior. There's that other Blaze of Glory. To reroll into a 2 focus. Nothing he can do with that. Kenny had already claimed with the Arena of Death. That dealt the 1 indirect to Biggs. Now we're off to round 4. See a Resistance Bomber, a Senate Chamber, and a Diplomatic Protection there for Kenny. Kenny will use the Catapult, roll it out first. Alright, so Michael will pay 1 for the dorsal turret, put it on the other X-Wing. He's going to be able to roll that into the pool. Hits a 2 indirect. Kenny's not going to want to resolve that for disrupts. He's going to want to use that for damage. So the Gungan rolls out, rolls a resource. Guess he chooses not to re-roll the Gungan Catapult. Here's another dorsal. Michael will roll that out. That'll be a blank. Michael trying to say the laser cannon would deal 1 indirect, but that's only when you activate the actual vehicle. So Kenny plays it's hard to see, but it's a Diplomatic Protection on Boss. So if Boss is defeated, Kenny can give 2 shields to each remaining character on his team. So there's 2 indirect from the dorsal. I want to try to resolve that, so when you re-roll when you roll the X-Wing into your pool, you'll have that die and be able to deal additional damage. Okay, so Kenny takes a resource on the Gungan. I think Michael's smart play here. He's got both of his main characters and all his dice still out. Go ahead and force him to roll Jar Jar out, so you don't have to re-roll dice. Playing against this deck, you get so caught up in trying to do your actions, mitigate damage, instead of just focusing on keeping Jar Jar off the field. So Michael pays the 1 for deployment. He needs to deal 1 indirect to Kenny. Kenny not taking the 1 indirect. He needs 2. So he pays 2 for the Senate Chamber. I think Michael still needs to force him to roll out Jar Jar. Instead, he'll roll out Biggs. Biggs hits a +2 and a disrupt. Boss will roll as a resource. Kenny's just going to hold on to Jar Jar until he sees a lot of damage on the field. Alright, there's a blank on Poe, and looks like a 1 resource. 3 damage. I think you'll probably see. He may roll out the Senate Chamber, but more than likely I would think he's going to roll out Jar Jar. Nope, he's going to use a power action on the Senate Chamber. So he's going to remove a die. He's going to blank the 1 range. Okay. I think now you're begging begging him to roll out Jar Jar. Michael takes 2 shields. So it looks like there's 4 indirect. 2 on the shields and then 2 into Biggs. Biggs at 3 health remaining, and Poe's also at 3 health remaining. Michael thinking over his options here. Okay, so he's going to force a discard. Hits the resistance bomber. That was not going to see the field this game. So that was just basically a discard to reroll card. Kenny will roll the Senate Chamber in. It's on a 2 focus. Alright, we got a discard to reroll. Get a 2 focus, a 2 indirect, a 1 range, and a 1 range, and that'll force Jar Jar out on the field. Jar Jar rolls 2 blanks, which is 2 indirect, and it's going to reroll everything for Michael. Okay, so the Senate Chamber will reroll. It's a 2 focus. See a couple of blanks there from Michael. Also have a disrupt, a 1 range, and a 2 range. So he could kill the Gungan. He could kill Boss. If he kills Boss, though, it's going to be 2 shields on Jar Jar and on the Gungan Warrior. So Kenny will use the 2 focus to turn both of the Jar Jar die to 1 indirect apiece. This is going to be interesting because if he resolves the 1 indirect, 1 on each character, unless Michael claims, we'll have to see if Michael kills a character or if he puts it into Jar Jar, that 3 damage. Looks like he's going to go ahead and resolve it. He's holding on to it. Yep. Okay, so he does that. So Kenny's going to take the 2 indirect. Michael will put that. He'll have to put 1 on each in order to survive, but he needs to claim. If he doesn't claim, then Kenny's going to claim, and that will kill Michael. So both guys at 1 health. A reroll really doesn't do anything at this point. I think to survive the round, you need to claim. I think this game is over pretty much regardless. Kenny's going to claim either way. Yep. So Kenny will claim. That'll deal 2 indirect. And that will be it. Great games, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to once again like, subscribe to the channel. We will have more content coming out for you shortly. Thanks and have a great night.